Yeah, Spoon. Amen to that. There you go, Sebby. Hi, Ops. See, Ops is here too. What are you up to, man? Damn. China cancels their non-aggression pact. Managed to snag a PS5 today. Nice. Speaking of Discord messages, I have a Twitch promo scammer messaging you right now. Maybe a Brit. You know by now. Your internal clock is American, but alright. You usually can't decide between East Coast, West Coast, or Hawaii. You know what the thing is, Passing? I've been on West Coast time for years. Yeah, I'm on Pacific time. Always been on Pacific time, man. Or even Hawaiian time. I'm right there with you, pal. SpaceX stream is up. Okay, guys. Not screwing up, maybe? Alright. Let's close that out. And let's see what's going on with SpaceX. I'll switch us over here to Ciencias y Tecnología. SpaceX CRS-24 launch coverage. Boop. Yeah, it's all your fault. I won't mention the 20 years before that. You couldn't be the reason for... Yeah, it's fine. I'll take the blame. It's all right. Currently doing a modeling workshop, modeling my USB brick in Cinema 4D. Neat. I was on Australian time for a little while, Kyron. In actually, yeah, in like 2018, I was on Australian time, like straight up. I'd wake up at 3 in the afternoon, which is, yeah, that's 3 in the afternoon. Depending, it's like 5 a.m. in Australia, and I would go to bed at like, I don't know, 7, 8 p.m. Australian time. Yeah, I was on straight Australian time. Yeah. Yeah, I was on Sydney time for a little while, Ops, and then I switched it. Yeah, there's such a thing called delayed sleep phase disorder. More people have that than you'd think. Jeez. All right, cool. Okay. Fellas, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. Hey, Phoenix. And we'll go from there. Be back in a second. We never sleep. That's right. Be back in a moment.
Touchdown. Falcon 9 is in startup. Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
We are just under 22 minutes from liftoff of this Falcon 9 rocket for NASA's and SpaceX's 24th commercial resupply services mission to the International Space Station. The Dragon spacecraft will fly about 6,500 pounds of science, supplies, and holiday treats for the astronauts on board. Happy holidays, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this live launch coverage of CRS-24. I'm Megan Cruz. Today's liftoff is scheduled for 5:07 a.m. Eastern Time from Launch Complex 39A here at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And we are again simulcasting this live show on NASA TV and on SpaceX's webcast. So let's bring in Andy Tran now live from SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Good to see you, Andy.
Yeah, good to see you too, Megan. It is great to be back covering today's mission in partnership with NASA. And as the year comes to an end, CRS-24 will be SpaceX's 31st and final mission of 2021, making it a record-breaking year for launches for us. What
a way to end the year, Andy. And I see that you have a live view of the pad right now. Can you walk us through the different parts of Falcon 9 and Dragon?
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. So our two-stage launch vehicle stands about 70 meters tall and when fully fueled holds just over 1 million pounds of propellant that the vehicle will burn through in less than 3 minutes after liftoff. The bottom two-thirds of the vehicle is the first stage. Its objective is to accelerate the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere to space and then separate from the rest of the rocket. And while today's flight is going to be the first...
I'm turning up the volume, guys.
Falcon 9 is designed to be reusable for the reliable and safe transport of people, payloads, and payloads into Earth orbit and beyond. And as usual, we are going to be attempting to recover the first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. That's what you see on screen right now. Above the first stage is the second stage. It has a single Merlin vacuum engine which ignites after the first stage separates. The second stage is what will carry Dragon to its intended orbit, allowing the spacecraft to eventually rendezvous with the International Space Station. And speaking of Dragon, it is sitting at the very, very top of the rocket. Dragon was designed from the beginning to be reused, and this version of Dragon is designed for up to 5 flights. Following a successful launch, this Dragon will dock itself to the International Space Station. It will join another Dragon capsule that's already attached, Capsule Endurance. This is the one that launched Crew 3 astronauts last month. So that was a quick rundown of our launch vehicles. I'll send it back to you, Megan.
Thanks, Andy. And in addition to SpaceX, NASA teams both here in Florida and in Houston are monitoring this mission. Let's go to Joshua Santora here at Kennedy first. Joshua, you're listening in as the launch team considers things like weather and safety, right?
That's exactly right, Megan. Yeah, a good morning to you and everybody watching. Santa Claus and his reindeer can get off the ground in any weather. Our launch vehicles have launch commit criteria. Unfortunately, we've been tracking, we are currently no-go on weather, but the great news is that we are trending towards being go here in just a few minutes. So we're hoping to hear that call on time for that liftoff that we have coming up in just about 18 minutes now. That's thanks to the folks at Space Launch Delta 45, specifically Launch Weather Officer Arlena Moses, providing that support for weather and range activities. For the countdown operations, fueling on the first stage began at T-minus 35 minutes, and the second stage will begin fueling in just about 2 minutes at T-minus 16 minutes. That's all ahead of liftoff, scheduled for 5:07:08 Eastern Time this morning. That's so precise because we have a single second to launch and rendezvous with the space station tomorrow morning. That autonomous docking that Andy mentioned is scheduled for 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time, with coverage beginning at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. For more on space station operations, I'm going to send you out now to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where Shaniqua Vereen is standing by in mission control.
Thanks, and welcome to the International Space Station Flight Control Room. I'm Shaniqua Vereen, live at Johnson Space Center here in Houston, Texas. The team of flight controllers in Mission Control Houston today has been led by Flight Director Adi Boulos. Teams here in Mission Control will really jump into action tonight into early Wednesday morning as Cargo Dragon approaches the International Space Station. There are currently 7 crew members living and working aboard the station.
It's not Delta V requirements amid its
Expedition
orbital mechanics,
66 consists of NASA astronauts Tom Marshburn, Raja Chari, Kayla Barron, and Mark Vandehei. Roscosmos cosmonauts
Port.
Pyotr Dubrov, Anton Skaplerov, and Matthias Maurer of the European Space Agency. As Cargo Dragon approaches the International Space Station in the morning hours on December 22nd, NASA astronauts Rasha Chari and Tom Marshburn will be monitoring the arrival from the station's cupola. Cargo Dragon will remain attached to the International Space Station's forward port of the Harmony module for about 1 month, being one of 2 Dragons joining Crew Dragon Endurance before being packed up with critical science and supplies and will splash down off the coast of Florida for that science to be analyzed back here on Earth. Everything's still a go from here in Mission Control Houston, and we're looking forward to welcoming another vehicle to the International Space Station. So for now, we'll head back out to Kennedy. Megan?
Thanks, Shaniqua.
Muted. Thank you. Sorry, guys. It's still early. There's a bunch of things that can... You're talking about James Webb, right, Port? True. I know. Yeah. They spend $10 billion on a telescope that can have 400 things that can go wrong. It's actually closer to like 4 million. Yeah. There's a bunch of things that can go wrong. You're confusing single fault redundancy with things that can go wrong. Anything can go wrong on the telescope. Yeah, of course. The 300 single fault redundancy refers to things that basically like have no backup. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. You got to understand that some things are just single fault redundant. That doesn't mean it's a bad system. A door is single fault redundant. If the hinges break, that's it. The door falls. Does that mean it's a bad design? See what I'm talking about? Those single fault redundant things are stuff that's not going to fail. It's most likely going to be something else if it does, which it probably won't, you know? It has 3 hinges, so 3 of the same hinge. See what I'm talking about? Just because something is single fault redundant doesn't mean it's bad. The tires on your car are single fault redundant. If you blow a tire, there's no other tire to pick up the slack. Ask me how I know. I had a wheel fall off, you know? So I wouldn't read too much into it. And as opposed, in terms of $10 billion, look, it was $10 billion over almost 20 years. Pretty good capability considering what we're getting. So I wouldn't be, like, it's not, people say this stuff to make it sound big and, oh my God, this is a crazy telescope. It's so complicated. It's just 3 single fault redundant. Yeah, but the funny thing is that people have no idea what that means. You know? Just something to consider, I suppose.
And you saw in that video that college students are sending experiments to the orbiting lab. And I have 2 of them here with me today. This is Swati Ravi from Columbia University, as well as Caitlin Harvey from the University of Idaho. Good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
So talk to me. I know that between your 2 universities, 18 students are sending 2 experiments to space. Can you tell me about yours, Swati?
Absolutely. So we're sending up 2 different bacteria that are commonly found in spaceflight environments and also the cause of some previous astronaut infections. And we're really interested in studying how they interact with each other and also how their antibiotic resistance changes in space.
Oh, really interesting. And Caitlin, what about you?
Yeah, so for our experiment, we're looking at how effective different bacterial-resistant polymer coatings are on high contact surfaces in microgravity, because we already know how they behave on Earth, so we want to compare those.
Yeah, it sounds like both of your experiments have to do with studying how bacteria grows in space. Why is it that you guys wanted to hone in on that?
Yes, so bacterial resistance is a real problem both in space and here on Earth. And so for us, it's important to study bacteria because for long-term future space flight, it's important that we keep astronauts safe and healthy. And even here on Earth, the World Health Organization has flagged antibiotic resistance as a really important challenge for us to solve.
Right, yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, you know, as these missions get longer and longer when we think about Mars. So, and you know, this is all possible through NASA's Student Payload Opportunity with Citizen Science, or SPOCS program. Can you tell us what you think about the fact that NASA is investing in STEM and creating this opportunity for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an excellent incredible opportunity, honestly, once in a lifetime. It's such an inspiring way to just get ourselves involved in STEM as well as all the people watching us along for our journey. So it's truly an inspiration, and I think an excellent way to get our generation involved in STEM moving forward.
That's great. And then very quickly, what is it that you hope to learn from this experiment?
Yes, from our
For both experiments.
We're hoping to learn what kinds of antibiotics are best for us to use with astronauts so that we can most effectively treat their infections.
And Kaylin?
We're just looking at potentially reducing the contact risk of exposing yourself to bacteria. So learning how these polymer coatings work in different environments and then applying that to reduce bacterial infections.
That's great. Good luck, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations to have this opportunity even. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now let's kick it back over to Andy. Andy, CRS-24 is the final launch in a very, very busy year for you guys.
Yeah, as the year comes to an end, today is going to be marking the 31st launch of 2021 for SpaceX and the 5th flight of Dragon to the International Space Station this year, following the launches of Crew 2, Crew 3, and cargo resupply missions 22 and 23. It's the most launches, along with the most visits to the station we've ever attempted in a given year. To give a bit of history, Dragon has been flying for 11 years now and made its debut in 2012 as the first private spacecraft in history to visit the International Space Station. Since then, it's made 28 trips to and from the orbiting lab.
It has been flying
Today,
for
it's
that
one of the
long.
few vehicles that can deliver significant cargo to the space station and the only vehicle that can deliver cargo from it.
No windows.
Falcon 9 and Dragon were both designed with reflight in mind, and the vehicle hardware is built to support multiple missions with minimal refurbishment in between. To date, 10 of our CRS missions have flown on reused Dragons. And while it's the second flight for Dragon today, having previously flown on CRS-22, it is the first flight for our booster. It is actually only the second time this year we've debuted a brand new Falcon 9 first stage. To date, we've reflown first stages 78 times, and that includes both the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy flights. And we're planning to recover this one on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. If successful today, it will mark the 100th successful recovery of an orbital class rocket.
Unreal.
So we are just
I saw
under
number one, dude.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting until liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon on the next resupply mission to the International Space Station. Back to you, Megan.
Andy, thank you so much. Now NASA partners with the ISS National Lab to give others access to the orbiting laboratory. Check out this video to see which companies are flying experiments on this mission.
The International Space Station is an incredible research facility that allows investigators to conduct research and technology development in ways not possible on Earth. Through the ISS National Laboratory, private sector companies can leverage the unique space environment to develop or improve consumer products and further business models, both on the ground and in low Earth orbit. Here's a quick look. Over the years, pharmaceutical leader Merck & Company has launched multiple protein crystallization investigations to the space station.
Get murked.
In a recent ISS National Lab sponsored investigation focused on Merck's cancer immunotherapy drug Keytruda, the team achieved exciting results. Leveraging microgravity conditions, Merck was able to produce highly uniform, concentrated crystalline suspensions of the active ingredient in Keytruda. Merck successfully translated these findings.
You guys aren't looking at this the right way. People are, oh, great, big pharma. That's more money for spaceflight, dudes. That ain't a bad thing. Look, if they want to throw, if Big Pharma's got a lot of money, if they want to throw more at spaceflight, I ain't complaining, bros. Please, yes, we will make your drugs in space. That's fine. You know, that's fine with me.
The Procter & Gamble team intends to test the stability of cleaning ingredients under microgravity conditions and radiation exposure.
You don't want
in space.
space drugs?
In doing so, the company hopes to gain insights that
Wait a
can
minute.
improve the production.
Are those Tide Pods? Space Tide Pods, bros.
For long-duration spaceflight missions. To learn more about all
Space
ISS
Tide
National Lab
Pods!
sponsored payloads on this
It's too
mission,
early for
go to
this.
issnationallab.org.
It's too early. It's too early for this, dude.
And the Tide experiments is pretty interesting because many of us probably have a bottle at home right now. Dr. Mark Civic is the CEO of Fabric and Home Care at Procter & Gamble. You guys make Tide. Good morning. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us, how do astronauts clean their clothes right now?
Unfortunately, astronauts actually do not clean their clothes right now, and this resupply mission will actually supply clothing for them, and sometimes they have to wear their clothing up to 4 days in advance, and you can imagine that's pretty gross. So for long-term deep space missions, NASA has partnered with Tide to develop the first detergent for space use for long flight missions.
Cool.
Because it becomes cost prohibitive to send up so much clothing for a long-term flight.
Yeah, so then how will the experiment work? Is that the detergent that they would
this
try?
is exactly the sample of the detergent that's going to fly this morning. And as the consumer expects performance and cleaning from Tide, the astronauts will as well. And unfortunately, astronauts can't go around the store to get a new bottle of Tide when it runs out. So our objective here is in this experiment to understand stability of Tide and Tide Infinity specifically for this experiment. And then we want to learn about the ingredients and their stability through microgravity and radiation for long-term flight duration.
And I would guess that if laundry is being done on the space station, it would use less water, right? Because that's a difficult resource up there. Would that mean that what we learn from this experiment could mean less water usage for us here on Earth?
That's what we plan to learn. We're using International Space Station as a surrogate for off-flight, off-planet missions. And from there, we want to learn about constraint environments for developing the next best Tide for the consumer around the globe, not just in space, but for situations in the world where resources are constrained. Water usage is constrained, and so is energy. If we can get the consumer to use Tide Infinity in the future for future cleaning at lower wash temperatures, that'll help society in general.
Mark, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what you guys uncover.
Thank you.
Thank you. But it's not just science that's flying to the space.
Dude, I would wear a Tide. I want that Tide jacket. That guy has the Tide jacket. I'd wear that. That'd be amazing.
Green beans, smoked seafood, and shellfish, and fruitcake to help them celebrate the holidays. They'll also be getting some presents. All right, we are now T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Let's bring back Andy and Joshua to walk us through the final moments of the countdown. Guys?
You have to wash
Thanks,
it.
Megan. The SpaceX team is working no significant issues right now. We're continuing to monitor weather, although it is trending more and more towards green as we march towards T0. The range is also standing by to support.
Tide Infinity.
At this point, RP1 fuel is completely loaded on both stages. Liquid oxygen loading is currently underway and should complete around the T-minus 2 minute mark. We're also loading helium gas into both stages. Falcon 9 uses helium as a pressurant to backfill the propellant tanks, as LOX and RP1 are consumed by the Merlin engines during ascent. Helium load began before the broadcast went live, and we'll continue to top that off as well until about a minute and a half before launch.
Andy mentioned that liquid oxygen being loaded. It's super chilled liquid oxygen, and to make sure the engine startup goes well, they perform engine chill. This began at T-minus 7 minutes, and a small amount of that LOX is flowed through the Merlin engine's turbo pumps to avoid thermal shock to that system, to allow the full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen when the clock strikes 0. Dragon also began its startup sequence at T-minus 35 minutes when it coordinated timing with Falcon 9. It's currently undergoing vehicle health checks, with the next big step happening just a moment ago when Dragon transitioned to internal power.
What we're seeing on screen right now, the clamp arms just underneath the Dragon have begun to open up, and they should be completing fully open right now. And the strong back, which is the truss structure right next to Falcon 9, is beginning to recline away to its pre-launch position, about 2 degrees away from the vehicle. It will continue to recline all the way back as we reach T0 to provide clearance for the vehicle to lift off.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
Okay, first stage is topped off. Next thing we should hear is second stage LOX
last few minutes, Falcon 9 is performing final health checks on its primary communications, avionics, and propulsion systems in preparation for flight. We also may hear callouts that the engines are sufficiently chilled as we get closer to liftoff.
The checkouts of the second stage thrust vector control actuators should begin right about T-minus 2 minutes 30 seconds. That's referred to as the engine wiggle test, a fairly self-explanatory name. This is where SpaceX will move the thruster nozzles slightly to make sure the guidance hardware is go for flight. SpaceX will do the exact same checkouts on the first stage engines just seconds before ignition. This is all still on track, weather being go now for liftoff scheduled for 5:07:08 Eastern Time this morning, as we track towards the space station with rendezvous and docking scheduled for tomorrow morning. Space station now tracking over Central Europe, and we'll be there with this mission for about a month.
2 minutes.
So at this point, we are wrapping up liquid oxygen loading.
Should hear the call for second stage LOX load is complete.
And that is the call out right there. So all propellants are loaded onto the vehicle.
Dragon is an auto idle.
We're starting to have some white clouds building around the vehicle. That is condensed liquid oxygen. As that super chilled liquid oxygen reaches the warmer ambient air temperatures of Florida, it'll start to form those clouds. Normal and expected for us at this stage in the countdown. Things continue to go smoothly as we march towards T0.
At T-minus 1 minute, we'll get the Dragon transitioned to internal power call. The Falcon 9 computers will enter startup mode and begin final pre-launch checks.
All right.
Guiding the rocket through the last seconds before liftoff.
"60 seconds and counting."
Falcon 9's in startup.
Okay.
Dragon is in countdown.
So there are a couple great callouts. Both stages are now pressurizing for launch. Range remains go. The weather did clear earlier and has remained green. So all
Falcon 9, CRS-24, go for launch.
That's the launch director calling go for launch.
I guess we're going.
We'll get an all systems go here in just a few seconds, and then we'll listen into the rest of the count.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Okay. T-minus 5, you'll see the sound suppression system at the bottom of the pad turn on.
T-minus 15 seconds.
15 minute seconds. 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
engine ignition.
2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Yes, we're flying today. Here we go.
With the final supply run in 2021 for the astronauts aboard the International Space Station.
I guess we're flying.
Downrange.
Into the clouds.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
Okay. Man, those clouds are low. Telemetry is still good. Oh man, look at coming out of the clouds. Yo, that's sick. Dude, so cool. See it pop out of the clouds. That was awesome.
Falcon 9 and Dragon have telemetry nominal. You can see it passing through the cloud layers right now. Next up, in just a few seconds here, is Max Q. This is where the vehicle will experience the highest amount of aerodynamic pressures.
Falcon 9 and supersonic. Max Q.
Maximum dynamic pressure, peak aerodynamic load on the vehicle.
And there's the call for Max Q. Through that period of high pressure on the vehicle, the engines on the first stage are now throttling back
it went right into the clouds. The tracking
as we
cameras
continue to make our journey to orbit. Coming up in about a minute are three events in rapid succession. First up is main engine cutoff, also known as MECO, followed by stage separation, and then second engine start, also known as SES-1. Main engine cutoff is where all 9 engines on the first stage.
It's because we're so used to seeing Starlink satellites, guys. Starlink satellites weigh more than the Dragon capsule. That's why this thing appeared to move out real quick. Dragon's actually way lighter than the Starlink satellites.
The drone ship for a landing attempt, and the second stage will ignite its Merlin vacuum engine.
You gotta remember, most of the Dragon is hollow.
To boost Dragon to low Earth orbit.
Not Starlink. Hey, Mello. 24 months. Thanks, buddy. Okay. well above the
Again,
clouds
those
now.
are going to be happening in
way
rapid
above the
succession in
clouds.
about 15 seconds here.
Everything looks okay here. Okay, stand by for the call for main engine cutoff.
Nico.
Main engine cutoff confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage sep is good. Getting a little bit of delay on the video, but we should be good. Stand by for upper stage ignition. Let's listen in for the call.
Vac ignition.
Okay. Dude.
You heard the callouts. We see it on screen. Successful main engine cutoff,
That never
followed
gets
by
old,
successful
man.
stage separation, and then
It always
ignition
puts a
of
smile
our
on my
Merlin
face.
vacuum engine.
Right, Mason? Oh, dude, you seeing that
On the
thing just
left-hand
pop
side of the
out? We're
screen,
seeing
the first
rocket
stage. Again, it's
That's
making its
so
way
cool.
back to Earth, but it's still being illuminated by the second stage Merlin vacuum engine there.
Yeah, that's the exhaust cloud over there.
So if
that
you are
flickering.
just joining us, you're watching a live webcast for the 24th commercial resupply mission
Come on, nail
to
this
the
landing.
International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 31st mission for 2021 and the 5th Dragon flight to the International Space Station this year. Couple of views on screen. The right-hand side of your screen is a view of the Merlin vacuum engine
not cloudy, username.
on the second stage.
Launch pad.
The Dragon capsule carrying all
That
of
was
the
a shot of the
wonderful
launch pad.
holiday treats and science is on the opposite end of that engine. Again, that is continuing to run smoothly as it makes its way to orbit. On the left-hand side of the screen is the first stage. You'll notice some honeycomb-like structures. There's two of them on screen right now. Those are our hypersonic grid fins. They're positioned at the top of the first stage booster. There are 4 of them actually, and those will start to swivel and move around to make sure that they are guiding the first stage back to its targeted landing zone.
First stage should be hitting apogee
For
sometime
today's
around
mission,
now.
it's going to be the
Altitude
drone ship
sitting at
Just Read the
126.
Instruction, which is parked in the Atlantic Ocean.
127, still going up, not at apogee yet. Apogee is the highest point in its travel here. 126.
Next event
First
for
stage
our
past
mission
apogee.
today is going to be the first stage entry burn. It's going to be the first of 2 burns.
They're launching
in order to
Tide
make its
pods
way
on this
back to our
mission,
drone
remember?
ship. The first stage has to execute
That's
these 2
why.
burns. The first, again, is the entry burn where 3 of our Merlin engines will reignite. This helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. The
They're
second
trying to
burn
see if
is
they
the
could
landing burn. This happens
wash
about a
astronaut
minute
clothes
later.
without any water.
This
They have
is
space
a
Tide
single
pods.
engine burn that will bring the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. So again, the first stage has 2 burns before it can make its first landing attempt on our drone ship.
Tide infinity and beyond. All right, she's going to come back down in the clouds here. Watch, first stage is going to be flying through
As
some
we wait
clouds
for
in
that
a second.
event, you might be interested to know that in order to get into space, the rocket actually has to do more than go up. It actually has to go sideways really, really fast. At liftoff, gravity is pulling straight down on the rocket. And as we ascend, we tilt the engines, a term called gimbaling, and that turns the rocket horizontally. So we're still going up, but we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad in what we call a gravity turn.
Right you are, Andy. Right you are, Ken. All right. Next up here in the flight on the first stage is doing the entry burn, where they fire the engines to slow
Stage
the
1 FTS is safe.
Okay, flight termination system
Things continue to go smoothly for both the first and second stages. Again, the first stage entry burn
Follow nominal trajectory.
Okay, Guido's calling good
should
trajectories on
start
both
in
vehicles.
about 10 seconds.
What they're doing there with the engines here when they fire them is actually pushing the plasma away. Falcon 9's first stage isn't going fast enough to require a heat shield,
Stage 1 entry burn is in startup.
but it's still going fast enough to cause pretty good re-entry heating nonetheless. That's why they fire
There
the
it is.
engines right
3 Merlin engines have reignited their engines and are now
Say
currently
the line.
slowing down the first stage. This burn is expected to last about 30 seconds.
there. Supersonic petrorepulsion.
You can see the velocity on the bottom left-hand side of the screen is
supersonic
starting to
retropropulsion.
decrease significantly.
It's the best. It's the most metal band name I've ever heard.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
Wait, so it
great
creates
news.
its own heat
That is
shield?
burn
Tell
1
me
of 2
more.
complete.
Yep.
The Falcon 9 first
SSRP,
stage is also equipped with
Cooper,
4
Bonnet,
landing
Triple
legs
Bullshit.
made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber with aluminum honeycomb. They're placed around
Oh,
the
there's
base
some
of the
plasma
rocket
right
and
there.
deployed just prior to
Oh,
landing.
she's cooking. Look at the plasma. Oh, that's.
So we are about 60 seconds away
on.
from landing the vehicle, and we're traveling a significant velocity right now. And this really puts into perspective the deceleration that the first stage will experience.
Look at the first stage is
in
hitting the
less
atmosphere.
than the
Look
span
at it
of a minute, will
decelerate when it hits
reduce
the
from
atmosphere.
twice the speed of a jet all the way
aerodynamics
down
are
to 0
slowing
as
it
the
down.
rocket lands.
Look at that. Almost 100 kilometers an hour a second.
Stage 1 is transonic.
No.
The first stage landing burn is
Camera's still
expected to
good?
start here
Nope,
in
nope,
about 20
never mind.
seconds and last for about
Nope,
25
oh,
seconds.
did it
So
come back?
during
Come
the
back.
duration of that burn, we are going to be listening for the
Oh,
call out
never
for
mind.
SECO, which stands for second engine cutoff. The Merlin vacuum engine that you see on screen, we're going to be shutting off that engine and then listening for another call out for a confirmation of good orbit,
Sorry.
where
Stage 1
the second
landing burn.
stage will coast
Okay, landing
for
burn
a
has
few minutes
started.
before separating Dragon.
Stage 2 FTS is
We don't
safe.
have views of
Oh,
the
oh,
first
oh.
stage right now. Looks like we got it back.
Nope.
And the
Andy
landing
jinxed
burn,
it that time.
Stage 1
is
landing
currently
leg deploy.
underway.
Landing legs have deployed. It's really cloudy out there, guys. It's screwing up the signal. Straight up. That's what's going on.
Invac shutdown.
Okay.
Stage 1 landing is confirmed.
Hey, all right. Give us a picture.
So hopefully we get some visuals. There it is. So this is the
Nominal
first
orbiting.
landing
Oh,
for
that's
this
so
particular booster, but the 100th
100
successful
landings.
landing for an orbital class rocket.
the frick?
What a way to end off the year. We also heard that the second engine, the second stage engine, the Merlin vacuum engine, successfully
Wow.
shut off its engine. And
Wow.
we're going to pause here to see if
That's
we can
impressive.
confirm a good orbit of
Ooh.
the second stage.
Hello, Drag. Oh, hi, Dragon. That was looking up the business end of the capsule.
Cape.
Okay.
Acquisition signal Newfoundland.
Oh, wait, did you hear that? They got the signal through Newfoundland. Newfoundland? Newfoundland.
So again, this is a view
understand what this is saying.
of the Merlin vacuum engine. The Dragon capsule with all of its supplies is on the opposite end of that
Newfoundland. Yes. Gas.
engine.
Yeah, that's flying by my house.
And I am
Huh.
getting confirmation that we do indeed have a good orbit. So the second stage is going to be coasting
Got
for a
NOI.
few minutes here. This is a view of the unpressurized cargo section of the Dragon. So the second stage right now is making some small adjustments
Yeah, Jim.
during the coast
I
phase
noticed
prior
that.
to separation. We should also have
working on-
video
they're
of
working on
Dragon
precision
separating
landing.
from the top of the second stage itself. Should give us a nice view of that.
This is flaming
the view
Dragon.
we just saw of the unpressurized
Oh, okay.
cargo section as
Flaming
Dragon, will slowly depart away
What's
from
in the
the
trunk?
second stage.
Some external payloads.
Dragon is going to be joining
Capybara.
the Crew 3 vehicle Endurance that is currently attached to the International Space Station and on orbit. And as always, it's always
Holy crap, dude. 100 landing. Yeah, that's a good point, username. 100 landings happened just under the 6-year anniversary of the first. Yeah, the first landing was December 22nd, 2015. I was there. Saw that thing come down. It was weird, man. If an RTLS ever comes around, whenever they come around, SpaceX does them still from time to time. But if they get a return to launch site where the Falcon 9 comes back down and lands, I implore you to go and check that out. Seeing that thing come down and land is one of the weirdest things ever. It's so strange because they're so used to seeing the rocket go up. Seeing it come back down and steer itself into position is just weird, man. It's very, very bizarre.
aboard the Dragon as part
I
of today's
do,
mission.
actually,
In
yeah.
fact, we
What's in the
will
trunk?
modify
Some
the
payload experiments
vehicles
for NASA. I'm not sure
slightly
exactly
for these
which
types
one
of
is in the
missions.
trunk,
So
but they're-
there are no seats,
Yeah.
there are no life support systems. This saves weight. It also frees up some space for more cargo, and it also allows us to refurbish the Dragon a little bit quicker once it splashes back down to Earth in about a month.
Yeah, right, Rib? It's going to look bizarre, Mason, yeah. How do they access the unpressurized cargo section? The space,
Expected loss of signal, Bermuda.
space station remote manipulator.
So
Yeah,
are
Stage
we're gonna see it
separation
go.
Dragon
confirmed.
separate any
Bye-bye.
second
Dragon
now.
separation.
Oh,
And
He called
there
stage separation
it
for Dragon
goes.
Sep.
Again, this camera
Bye.
view is on the second stage, looking at the Dragon's unpressurized cargo section. The Dragon has about a day before it makes its way and to the International Space Station and docks. Coming up is
so
nose
cool.
cone opening sequence. But that is going to do it for me here in Hawthorne. I'm going to hand it over to Shaniqua in Houston for the next mission milestones.
Thanks, Andy. And everything is still going well back here in Mission Control Houston. And right after Dragon separated, it began a series of automatic checkouts, including small...
Here, let's check it out. Look over here. So the ISS is just, it's over the Arabian Peninsula. Dragon's over here. We just saw it separate up here. I'm not sure why we don't have the graph. Oh, yeah, no, it's right there. There's a graphic for it. And it's in a lower orbit, but it's in the same orbit as the ISS, but a little bit lower. And it'll take a day to catch up. But see, it's just out and behind it, and it's because it's in a lower orbit, it's actually going to go faster, and it'll catch up with the ISS. The ISS is out over the Indian Ocean now. Literally, the second launch of next year will be an RTLS from Slick 40 to LZ1. Cool. And then if you look up there, there's some live shots from the space station. This is a picture of Mission Control. Shaniqua's over here behind the rocket models, and the camera looks this way. This is the ISS Mission Control in Houston. They're operating pretty much a skeleton crew right now. SpaceX just mentioned the 6th anniversary. Cool. Yeah, Shaniqua's definitely feeling this early launch time, that's for sure. I think it's too bright to see Dragon over Europe. It would be super clear. Outside. Yeah.
The International Space Station Flight Control Room. You currently see Flight Director Adi Boulos standing as we wait for that final confirmation of nose cone deploy.
Who wouldn't, Jay? Jeez. Yep, back to fighting insomnia. Take care. You want some coffee? So, guys, actually something that we haven't seen before. I noticed this was on SpaceX's map view. Do you see those vertical lines on the track? Ground station handovers. We've never seen that before. I don't know if that's just this launch or if every SpaceX launch is going to use that from now on. Did you guys see that? You see the ground station handovers there? That's what I'm pretty sure that's what that was measuring. Just have realized there's going to be an Angara launched and James Webb launched the next day. What is happening? Shinar, I don't know if you're familiar with this saying, but we're sending everything but the kitchen sink into space, which means send everything. Send all the things. More rockets. More, not less. More! 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 All right, City Builder, see ya. Yeah, man. Why not the sink, though? Because you need that to wash your hands. And, I mean, I don't know. I'm not familiar why that saying is the way that it is, to be honest with you. Hey, DJ. Why not the kitchen sink? Because it nobody owns the water. It's God's water. I don't know. But there was a shower. No, we sent that. Don't worry about it. Jamarian, get me everyone. What do you mean, everyone? Everyone! Sorry.
International Space Station.
Yeah, so these missions are absolutely critical. You know, the International Space Station is operating for the purpose of doing research and technology demonstration. So, you know, we've got over 24 different experiments going up on this.
Yeah, we also have our TPS reports lined up. Yeah, NASA, if you could just come in tomorrow, and if you could just come in on Christmas Eve, that'd be great. You know, we had a little bit of a snafu with the satellite, and we have to sort of like catch up. All right.
We've got some hardware that's going up to get one of our exercise devices.
Of course it does,
back in place for it, and some additional hardware for our EMUs, which are used for the spacewalks that we've got. But then there's also updated supplies for the crew. Of course, Christmas dinner, hopefully, and some Christmas presents for the crew, which is always a treat for them to get on these types of missions. So absolutely all of this is critical to keep the crew occupied, doing what they're there for in the first place.
Thanks, Phil. And we did have confirmation currently that the nose cone is deploying. It is opening currently, and I will confirm with you all when it's fully open. As always, Phil, it's a busy time aboard the International Space Station with cargo vehicles and crews coming and going. And, you know, like you mentioned, the upgraded equipment, how complex will...
Yeah, Loopy, that's what we were thinking that too. Yeah, 6 years, almost to the day. 100 landings over 6 years. I saw the first one. I think you were there too. You were there, right? Or was that a different launch? Not almost. Well, it was technically the 22nd. Technically. They scrubbed on the 21st. No, I was there for Falcon Heavy. That's the only time we've met. Oh, all right. Yeah. Falcon Heavy's good too.
And that's to get ready for the next set of upgraded solar arrays coming later in the year. We've also got another cargo resupply mission, our first U.S. private astronaut
Liquidator.
mission
It's pretty
coming
dope,
up.
isn't it?
And additional resupply missions, and then we get back into the crew cycle launches.
Loopy, did NSF see that the communication markers are now on SpaceX's UI? They have the ground stations. See, this is the loss of signal for Goonhilly right there. That's really cool. I've never seen that before.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, they noticed it too.
I see it as really fitting that our teams close out the year with a launch. They get 2022 off.
Oh, nose cone's open. Oh, that's so cool.
That's right. And thanks again, Phil, for joining us. And happy holidays. Back here.
Happy holidays. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Back here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, flight controllers are monitoring the systems on the station itself ahead of Dragon's arrival Wednesday morning. Once Dragon crosses that approach ellipsoid, which is that mythical sphere around the station, flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston will begin joint operations with the SpaceX teams in Hawthorne, California. NASA astronauts Rash Achari and Tom Marshburn will be monitoring the approach and arrival of Dragon with a planned docking Wednesday morning at 3:30 a.m. Central Time, 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Once Cargo Dragon is docked to the station, Chari and Marshburn will begin hatch operations to open the hatches between the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon. And with that, we have final confirmation that the nose cone is open.
Dude, in 2022, I want to come down for more launches. Yeah, in 2022, I want to come down for more launches. I don't know which ones or when or how, but I would like to. I mean, I'm definitely going to be there for Artemis 1, that's for sure.
Cargo Dragon, as you heard her say, is on course to dock to the International Space Station at about 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow.
That's right,
we will have live coverage here on NASA TV, and that will begin at 3 a.m.
I'll pick him up, Dodo.
In the meantime, you can learn even more about this mission on nasa.gov/commercial resupply. Thank you for joining us. We leave you with a replay of the launch. Happy holidays.
T-minus 15 seconds.
15 seconds. You can tell it's
10,
early in Hawthorne.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Liftoff. Cargo Dragon soars with the final supply run of 2021 to the astronauts aboard the International Space Station.
I know, Trip, right? That's what we were saying. It's so bizarre seeing that thing clean. It looks so strange at this point. It looks so strange. Like, even seeing a Block 4 Falcon 9, I'm like, what the hell is that thing? That's weird looking. Inject this audio into my veins. Can we assume all astronauts have had at least 2 doses of the COVID vaccine? I'm pretty sure they have to, Dead Scum, yeah. But even then, astronauts still quarantine like you would not believe. They've been doing that for years. And it's not just us. The Europeans do it, the Russians do it, everybody quarantines. You don't want to get sick in space. COVID notwithstanding. Can you imagine how much it would suck having a sinus infection in space? That would be terrible. That would be, dude, even the thought of it is like making me like regurgitate. I'm like, that would be horrid. Imagine how much that would actually suck. It's happened before. Yeah, that's what happened in Apollo 7. The crew got a head cold. They brought a head cold with them up into space. It's terrible. Terrible. Can you imagine having a stuffy nose? Post nasal drip in space? Nah, I'm good. No thank you. Blowing your nose in space does not sound fun. Yeah, that sounds horrible, actually. Yeah, so don't worry. Yeah, the astronauts, cosmonauts, like, dude, the Chinese do this, the Russians do it, everybody does that. You do not want to get sick in space. That would be horrid. Oh, man. Projectile vomiting would have Delta V. You'd be like, bleh, and you just fly away down the space station. That'd be horrible. I don't want that at all. Oh, God. That would be terrible. Can we stop talking about this, man? That would suck so much. Anyway, am I going to keep streaming? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Does blowing your nose in space make you go the other way? I think that's from more of like if you... Well, it depends, Thrawn. Are you doing the blowing your nose where you're like this? Or do you do the, you know, like with the head turn? The head turn will make you start spinning. I don't think you have enough Delta V to vomit up for a TLI burn, though. Yeah, Retropol, it'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. Terrible. Although we'll eventually have to learn how to deal with that sort of thing. Bro, I can't even imagine a sinus infection in space. That would be terrible. That would suck. That would suck a lot. When's the big ass booster gonna launch? Ozil, it's gonna take a second, man. Gonna take a second. You're talking about that thing, right? Oh, man. If you sneeze enough times, you spin out of control. Rustbox, can you imagine the people that sneeze multiple times? I mean, me, I sneeze multiple times. No, actually, not really. I don't really sneeze multiple times. I usually do. It's usually one, sometimes two. Can you imagine the people that like sneeze 3 or 4 times in a row that just sneeze, achoo, 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 and just keep going? just keep going. Yeah, no, Loopy, I only thought it fair to put the Wigglies right next to each other. We got Wiggly, we got the type of wiggling, and then we got the type of wiggling, you know. It's all good. How's the SLS schedule looking? Anyone? So they had some problems with one of the engine controllers in engine number 4. But other than that, looks okay. That might push it out a little bit to March. But, you know, everybody's like, problems with the engine controllers. Wow, that thing sucks. No, it's better to find those problems now. Probably wouldn't want that when you go to launch. That would be bad. That would be bad. So... yeah, other than that, it's doing okay. It's proceeding along pretty well with checkout here. Let me see if there's any new pictures of it out. All you got to do is go on NASA's image archive and hit SLS and then set it to 2021 update results. SLS. Anything? Not really. Medco, 22-month resub. I need Skyscraper. Be right back. Oh, you're killing me. Usually they post all the updated stuff here. Got just some pictures of people. We got Neil right there.
Discovery, go and
drop. Whoa! Passing gifted out 20 subs. Thank you. Nothing new right there. A couple of pictures for the archives. Costing another $3 billion for SLS? No. Thanks, Passing. I appreciate it, man. I think so, Loopy. Yeah. DV wants a skyscraper. Wants a skyscraper to build. Are those engines of SLS doing a rotation on the second left screen of your background? Yeah, Connor, it's SLS during the green run where they tested the gimbals out. Yeah, see, these screens up here are reserved now for heavy launch, super heavy launch vehicles. I got all super heavy launch vehicles except for the shuttle, but the shuttle, the shuttle can count. It's fine. Shuttle's valid. Did they do 2 green runs? Forlorn, they did 1, and they had to shut down the engines early, and then they did another full duration test. Yeah, so they did like 1.5 if you want to be technical. Of course, I updated with Raptor gimbal. Duh. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. You ever stared at it, Zero? Marveled at its beauty? Its genius? Did you see the thrust dome they have for the 33 engines? Of course, Isaac. DV, what's this? Season's greetings from NASA.
Hey, we're moving now. Yay! Here we go. Hang on. To the moon. Whoa! Baby!
That's nice. Video is very, very strange. DV, you want a building. I'm very much looking forward to watching James Webb launch. Yeah. Yeah. For Cutie, I'm with you. The Commerzbank Tower und Frankfurt. In actual flight, they'd be all gimbaling independently. They'd probably be gimbaling on where they're trying to steer the rocket, dead scum. They wouldn't be doing that, that's for sure. Yeah, RB, that's a good idea. Yeah, Zizep, we all are. Okay, DV, pick a state. Pick a state, buddy. Where do you want? The residential complex in Krasnodar? Okay, Krasnodar. Alright, let's see. Do you know where it is exactly, predominant? Time is James Webb launching? 7:20 a.m. Eastern Time. I don't know where it is, dude. I don't know where that building is. Let's see if we can go into like Street View and see it. Can you choose? Because I don't know. All right. No.